This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven son. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching or participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Thursday night, January the 7th. This is our NFL playoff preview show. We're going to take a break from our last two nights of politics, talk some football tonight. Joining me, as always, right now he's in his underground bunker in liberal Bastion land up in the center part of the state, the non-genetically proven son. How's it going?
Hey.
How's it going tonight?
It's going.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've done nothing all day. How about you?
I'm not doing too good.
Why not?
Now, I've had to look at your ugly mug now for 3 straight nights. So, you know.
Whatever.
My camera's up a little bit too high. Should have tilted it down a little more. Oh, but be that as it may.
Let's go, Dallas.
Sure, why not? So, before we get into the NFL preview, we're going to go back in time to our show on September the 10th when we previewed the regular season, and we're going to go see how we did in our picks. I'm not going to go back and pull up the tape because it was we'd be sitting here for 45 minutes because we kind of strung it out. But I do have the picks. I have who was the favorite in each division and what their odds were and who we picked. So we're going to see who came out on top between the non-genetically proven son and the fat guy. So we're going to do it in the same order that we did it that night. And in that night we did the NFC first, and we started with the NFC North, where Minnesota was the favorite to win the division at plus 160. Do you remember who you took to win the division?
Did I take the Packers?
You did not.
Did I take I took Minnesota.
You took Minnesota. I took Green Bay. Who won the division?
Green Bay by a lot.
Green Bay by a lot. Ching ching for the fat guy. That's a 1 for the fat guy. In the Southern Division, believe it or not, Tampa Bay was the favorite to win this division at plus 137. Do you recall who you took to win the division?
Did I take the Saints?
You took the Saints.
Because I said Tampa wasn't going to start off good.
I actually have some notes that we did, and that's correct. You said Tampa Bay is going to struggle early. They will be 3-3 after 6 games.
Were they 3-3 after 6 games?
Probably. 3-3, 4-2,
look.
but you had that right. I also had New Orleans to win the division, so we both got that division right.
N.F.L.
It's taking you a long time to type, looking up Tampa Bay's record.
2-3-1. They're 4-2 after 6
Okay.
games.
So you were close.
Oh, yeah, they're 4-2.
So in the West, so right now I'm at 2, and the non-genetically proven son's at 1. I can tell we're going to Sizzler already. So in the West, San Francisco was the favorite to win the division at plus 110. Do you remember who you took?
No.
No?
Give me a minute. I took either the Rams or Seattle.
You, if you go back and watch the tape, had you couldn't make a decision between the two. And I said
took
pick
the Rams.
one.
And I took the Rams.
You took the Seahawks.
Yes.
I took the Rams.
Yeah, that's 2.
And if you watch the tape, I said San Francisco was not making the division. I said don't be surprised when San Francisco doesn't make the playoffs because the losing team of the Super Bowl, unless if you're on a team with Tom Brady, does not make the playoffs the year after losing the Super Bowl. And it happened once again. In the NFC East, Dallas was your favorite at minus 133. They were a pretty big favorite to win this division. Yes, Josh, your Dallas team was favored to win the division. Do you remember who you picked?
Dallas, and I know you didn't pick Washington either.
You did take Dallas, and I said, if you go back and watch, I said, I can't believe I'm about to say this.
You took the Eagles.
I took the Eagles.
They got last.
Yes, they did. By the way, Washington was plus 1,400 to win the division.
Could have made a good penny there.
They were 14-1 to win the division. So we were 2-2. We both
It's
hit.
not bad.
We both hit
Respectful.
2, and we both lost 2. Do you remember who you had as your wild card teams?
Green Bay, Tampa, and probably the Rams.
Correct. You are correct. Yep. Absolutely correct. Even though I said San Francisco was not going to make the playoffs, did have them as the 7 spot. And I took Tampa Bay and I took Dallas. So you actually had more of the teams making the playoffs than I did. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I had 1, 2, 3, 4. I had Tampa Bay, Dallas, and San Francisco. You had Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and the Rams. In that order. Moving on to the AFC. In the North, Baltimore was a huge favorite to win their division. Huge favorite. Wound up finishing 3rd at minus 188.
Actually, I think they finished 2nd.
No, they finished 3rd.
They absolutely finished 2nd.
They finished tied for 2nd.
Yeah, but they got the higher seed in the play.
Yeah, so you're right. They finished tied for 2nd. So do you remember who you took?
Probably Baltimore.
You took Baltimore. I took Baltimore.
Let's say I can't imagine you took Pittsburgh.
In the South, Indianapolis was the favorite to win the division at 115. Do you remember who you took?
I take Tennessee.
You took Tennessee. I took Tennessee. In the West, Kansas City was the biggest favorite at minus 450. Do you remember who you took?
Kansas City.
You took Kansas City. I took Kansas City. And in the East, Buffalo was plus 115 to win the division. Do you remember? Did you take Buffalo to win the division or not?
I took Buffalo or Miami. I forget. Did I take Miami?
You did not. You took Buffalo.
I took Buffalo.
I took Buffalo as well. We were very similar in the AFC. Your wild card teams, though, were Indy, Cleveland, and Miami. So you got 6 out of the 7. Again, you got 6 out of the 7 in both conferences.
5 out of 7 in the other one.
Yeah, 5 out of 7 and 6 out of 7. You didn't have let's see here. Kansas City is 1. Oh, you didn't have Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
you didn't like Pittsburgh. I had Pittsburgh, Indy, and my sleeper team was the Denver Broncos.
Oh, God, they were crap.
Yeah, because if you go back and watch the tape that night, I said, I really like them. They're going to be an exciting team this year, but they have a lot of injuries, and they just had lost their best defensive player for the entire year. He got hurt in the last preseason game or the next practice after the last preseason game. So we both had 6 out of 7 playoff teams in the AFC. So that was our picks. Some of the notes that I had written down for you said the Eagles will be no better than 9-7. Well, they weren't better than 9-7. You said you didn't like Pittsburgh. You said Tampa Bay will struggle early at 3-3. You said Baltimore would win the division, and don't be surprised if they go 16-0. Because if you remember their away schedule, they didn't have any large travel games.
Yeah.
Like the furthest they were traveling, for those of you that live in where I live, it was like me driving to Birdsboro. For you, it'd be like you driving to Altoona. Like Baltimore was going no place. Me, I said Arizona will surprise this year because they were a huge underdog to win the division. And I said don't be surprised when they're a lot better than what they seem. I said Denver would be an exciting team to watch. I took no favorites in the NFC to win any of the divisions. I said the Patriots would finish last. They did not finish last.
No.
And the one prediction I got really, really right, really, really good, I said don't be surprised when Jacksonville beats Indy week 1 and then loses the rest of their games. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Cool. So, by the way, to make the NFC Finals, do you remember who you had?
The NFC Finals?
Yes.
I had Minnesota versus the Saints, I believe.
You had Minnesota versus Tampa Bay.
Right.
And do you remember who you had going to the Super Bowl in the NFC?
Yeah, Minnesota. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes. I had New Orleans and Tampa Bay making it to the conference finals. So there's a chance that could happen still. And I had New Orleans making it to the Super Bowl. In the AFC, we both had the same. And it was chalky.
Kansas City and Baltimore,
yes.
Probably.
Yes. And do you remember who we picked?
Kansas City.
No, we both picked Baltimore.
Oh.
Do you remember who you said who was going to win the Super Bowl for you, Baltimore or Minnesota?
I swear if I said the Vikings.
You did not. You said Baltimore. I said New Orleans was going to beat Baltimore.
Okay.
So that's our season in review for how we did. We were okay. We were okay. We weren't so bad. So we got a couple things that we wanted to do tonight. We're going to go over all 6 of the games. And we're going to make a pick in all 6 of the games on both the side and the total. And we're going to keep track of the records. So every game during the playoffs, we're going to have a side pick and we're going to have a total pick. And we'll see who comes out better between the two of us. Now, the non-genetically proven son had a better record in the regular season. We should go over that really quick. So, looking over the Phatts Fantastic 5 really quick for the last week. You were 42-33 coming into the week. You had the over in the Alabama Notre Dame game. Loser. You had Clemson -7. Loser. You had the under in the West Virginia Army game. Loser. You had Green Bay -5. Winner. And you had Washington -1.5. Winner. So you went 2-3 for a week for a final record of 44-36, which isn't bad for your first year. You were plus 500 in your first year.
Woo!
Can't complain about that. Can't complain about that at all. Now let's look at me, who's been betting, basically since I got out of the crib. I needed to win all 5 games just to break even.
Well, we see that first one.
Yeah, I had Clemson, loser. I had New Orleans, winner. I had the Jets, loser. I had Baltimore, winner. I had Tennessee, loser. So I also went 2-3 for a final record of 37-43. 6 games under 500, while you were 44-30. You were 4 games over 500.
44-36 is 8 games.
8 games over 500.
Wow.
I'm only an accountant, Yes. Yeah. So you were 8, 37, and I was 6. So you beat me in the Phatts Fantastic 5 for the regular season.
Woo!
Now it's time for me to get my revenge
in the
playoffs. So, all right. Now, the lines that we're using were the lines that were at Barstool Sports at 12 o'clock today. Trust me, I wish we were using the lines that were at Barstool Sports Monday at 12 o'clock. Because some of them changed. So we're going to go through the games in order as they will be played. So the first game on Saturday is... before we start, so what we're doing tonight is we're going to go through each game and make our picks. Then, the non-genetically proven son and I, we're going to have a gentleman's bet. Where we're each going to pick 7 teams, since there's 14 teams that made the playoffs. And we're going to see who picks the right team that ends up winning. Now, when we get to it, the non-genetically proven son is going to say who goes first. So if he decides that he goes first, then I go second in round 1, and then we flip-flop in round 2. I go first, and then he goes second in round 2, and then we trade back off. If he tells me I'm going first, I will have 1 pick in round 1, then he will pick, and then he starts in round 2, and so on and so on and so on. Then after that, we're going to do our bracket, how we think the playoffs are going to go. And then we'll talk about the college championship game, and then you guys could go eat some ice cream or something. Bring me some ice cream. Drive up to the creamery and bring me some ice cream. If they have birthday cake ice cream.
Have my doubts.
Probably not. All right, so the first game, Buffalo minus 6.5 with an over-under of 51. So, let me bring up what's going on. This is a site that I like to use. It's called Pregame, to see how the bets are going. So, for the Buffalo-Indy game, the current line, now, these current lines may not be the same as they were at Barstool at 12 o'clock today. Some of them could have changed. So, here it's 6 and 51, and we're using 6.5 and 51. But as of right now, 80 coming over to the tickets part, 82% of the bets are on the Bills. To the left, the 73% means 73% of the cash is on the Bills. So there's more tickets, more bets on the Bills than there is cash on the Bills. The over-under, there's 82% of the tickets are on the over. That's why there's an O next to the 82. But for the cash, there's only 70% on the over. So 70% is on the over, 30% is on the under. So, who do you got? And why do you got?
I got the Bills.
Okay.
Covering the 6.5.
Okay.
Why? Because I don't think the Colts are really that amazing. They're
Okay.
okay. They're good. They made the playoffs, clearly.
Yeah.
But I just watched Buffalo with their backups thrash somebody last week
Miami. Yeah.
who needed it, A.
Yep.
And the Bills have been playing decent. Beat the Patriots by 29, beat the Broncos by almost 30, beat the Steelers, beat the 49ers, beat the Chargers, whatever, beat everybody. The last loss came back in November. So I think they're
On a Hail Mary, by the way.
I think they're spiking at a good time. I think they cover the 6.5.
Okay.
But I have the under.
You have the under.
I think the Bills defense will hold the Colts to less than 14 points.
Okay. Let's write that down. So Daniel has Buff and under. He says Indy less than 14. Okay. So, final score prediction?
I had 24-14.
24-14. Okay. As for me, let's look at the screen I'm going to put up. This is another website that I use called StatFox. What I have up here is the game by game for Indianapolis. So let's look at how they did against playoff teams this year. They lost to Pittsburgh. They lost to Tennessee. They beat Green Bay. They beat Tennessee. They lost to Baltimore. They lost to Cleveland. They beat Chicago. And that was it. So what's that? 3-4? Did I count that right? Hopefully. So when they were losing to these playoff teams, they also weren't covering against these teams. The straight up column is how they did straight up. The against the spread column is how they did with the points. Let's look at Buffalo. Roaming down to Buffalo. How they did against playoff teams. They beat Pittsburgh. They beat Seattle. They lost to Kansas City. They lost to Tennessee. And that's it. They only played, the Rams. They beat the Rams. So they only played 5 playoff teams. Indianapolis, I believe, only played 6. So they didn't have all that difficult of a schedule. I'm taking Buffalo myself at 6.5. Even though the numbers at pregame is kind of hinting to you to take Indianapolis. The reason why I'm taking Buffalo is you have a dome team playing in Buffalo in January. You have a quarterback that's 39 years old. Now, for you youngins out there that are, in your teens or in your 20s, trust me, when you get into your late 30s, I don't care what kind of athlete you are, you start to creak your bones and your muscles. You will creak. You just get stiffer in cold weather. Now, it's not supposed to be that windy, which is why I like the over in the game. So, we both agree on Baltimore, but I like the over, and the non-genetically proven son likes the under. You were right. Buffalo is peaking at the right time. They're playing great football right now. So yeah, and Indianapolis dome team. You're gonna have rookie Jonathan Taylor, but sometimes when rookies, especially running backs, get to the playoffs, they kind of hit the proverbial wall because they're just not used to playing this many games in a season. I mean, let's face it. Typically in college, you're playing 12, 13, 14 games in a season. Well, now you're at game 17. So, we'll see what happens. What does Josh have to say? To be in your 20, yeah, what are you, 30? 30? Is that what you are? So we both like Buffalo. I like the over. The non-genetically proven son likes the under. On to the next game. This is one of the games that I wish we used the line earlier in the week. Seattle and the Rams. Seattle -3. The over-under at a somewhat low, especially for this year, 42.5. Now, you start talking. I'm actually going to get up and just point my camera a little bit down because I'm getting annoyed at, like, seeing myself here.
All right. Well, I pick the Seahawks to cover the 3. They are 1-1 against the Rams this year. They lost 23-16 and 20-9. They won 20-9 at home. I suspect another somewhat close game again, as Seattle loves to play their close games as they have all year. They beat the 49ers by 3, Rams by 11, Washington by 5. They destroyed the Jets. They lost to the Giants by 5, beat the Eagles by 5. So they play a lot of close games. But I'm expecting them to pull away late in that game, whether with a late that looks awful.
Yeah, now it's too low.
I'm expecting them to pull away late in the game, either up a couple and either get a field goal or a touchdown, and then the Rams having to drive the field, and they will not. And I have the over 42.5 for the game as well.
Why do you like the over?
Why do I like the over? I thought that was a really low over, actually.
Okay.
I looked at it.
So, just because, the average score this year is somewhere around 48, 49 points, you only got to score 43 in this game to win.
I'm expecting somewhere around 28, 22 kind of game.
Okay.
Somewhere in there. 28, 21. Something late where Seattle kicks a late field goal. The Rams have a minute and 2 timeouts to drive the field, and they do not.
Got ya. Okay. By the way, for those of you watching, feel free to comment on who you think is going to be winning these games and covering, and the over-under, by all means. Let me know what you think, and we'll certainly tell the world what you're thinking. I like the exact opposite. I like the Rams and the under. I really wish I was getting 3.5, though, and not 3. I think the under is the easier play of the two. First off, you don't know who the starting quarterback of the Rams is going to be yet. Is Goff ready to come back or not? He was out with his thumb injury last week, and they still found a way to beat Arizona. Is he going to be back this week? There was a reason why they hurried up and got him that thumb surgery that he had, so he could try to be back for this week. I'm banking on the fact that he's going to be back. Right now, he's listed as questionable, 50-50. I have my doubts if you're going to see him higher than questionable on the injury report because they don't want to tip their hand until they have to release their actives and inactives before game time. If he's not playing, I'm probably going to lose this. But if he's not playing, then I really like the under even more. Seattle, let's look at what pregame has for this. Seattle is getting 60% of the bets, but the Rams are getting 55% of the cash. The under is getting 69% of the bets and 85% of the cash. I don't like that for me liking the under. Las Vegas certainly wasn't built on paying out winning tickets to people. So, the question is, who's going to play as quarterback? Which coach do you trust better? And all of a sudden, Seattle really isn't playing all that well offensively. They kind of flipped. If you remember back at the beginning of the year, their offense was really good, and their defense was eh. And now it's kind of flipped. Let's look at some of their games here really quick. So let's click on over here. So, 26-3, 20-9, 20-15, 40-3, but that was against the Jets. 17-12, 23-17, 28-21. So, they're certainly not scoring a lot of points like they did early in the season. Like, let's look at early in the season. Week 1, 38. Week 2, 35. Week 3, 38. Week 4, 31. Week 5, 34. Week 6, 37. Week 8, 34. And then all of a sudden they stop scoring, with the exception of the Jets game. So they flip-flop. They got their defense straightened out, but all of a sudden they're struggling a little more on the offensive side. And because I like the under, this will be the week that they score 31. So, we completely differ in this game, which is the kind of stuff I like. The non-genetically proven son has Seattle and the over, and I have the Rams and the under, taking the chance that Jared Goff is going to be back. The nighttime game. This line really moved throughout the afternoon today. At noon, Tampa Bay was an 8-point favorite with an over-under of 45. At 6 o'clock when I looked at it, Tampa Bay was a 9.5-point favorite with an over-under of 45. But for our contest, we took the lines at noon, so we're using 8 and 45. Now, I have a feeling that this might be if we were to call it a best bet of the weekend, this might be the game where your best bet comes. I just have that feeling.
Okay.
Would I be right?
That or one other game.
Okay.
So I have Tampa covering the 8. As we said before, as I said in September, they're going to struggle, but then once they get it together, they're going to play good.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been playing good since about after they got killed by the Saints. They've been playing good. They beat the Panthers, big whoop. They barely lost to the Rams by a field goal. They barely lost to the Chiefs by a field goal. Then they beat the Vikings, and they beat the Falcons, and they put a hurt on the last 2 weeks against the Lions and the Falcons again. And I watched most of that Falcons game on Red Zone and Brady looked like Brady finally. Mm-hmm. Looked like he finally learned how to play again. And Washington sucks. That whole division sucks.
Okay.
If they were playing Haskins, Jesus, I can only imagine what this line would be.
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they got Alex Smith, but they were struggling to beat an Eagles that stopped trying in the second half, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I have the under 45. Okay. I like this game like 28 or 31 Tampa Bay to 7 or 10.
31-10, is that what you said?
About 31-10, yeah.
31-10. Okay. All right. So, I have something very similar. Not! I like Washington in this game. But I do like the under as well.
I am watching.
And everything the non-genetically proven son is correct about Tampa Bay. I mean, let's pull it up and let's look. Their last few games, they're on fire. Scored 44 against Atlanta, 47 against Detroit, 31 against Atlanta, 26 against Minnesota. They even put up 24 against Kansas City, 46 against Carolina. I mean, realistically, the only team, they struggled against New Orleans when they played them the second time. They only scored 3. If you remember earlier in the year, they took the Packers to the woodshed.
Trust me, I remember that one.
You took Green Bay in that game.
Had over 700 yards of passing.
Yes, you took Green Bay in that game.
I was very confident with Green Bay that game.
In the Phatts Fantastic Five. So why do I like Washington? Well, for a couple reasons. This one's probably going to make you laugh, first off. The GOAT, Tom Brady, he's how old now? 44, 45? Look it up. Tell me how old he is.
On right now. 43.
43. Okay, fine. 8 o'clock's past his bedtime. I mean, he might go to bed at night. Like, actually, if you've ever heard him, I do believe he did say he's usually in bed early because he gets up early. But what's his name from that was just a quarterback of New England was also like that, too. Goes to bed early and gets up really early.
He goes to bed like 8 or 9, but then he gets up at like 4 in the morning.
Yeah. So, yes, Tampa Bay's putting up all these points, but in all of those games, they didn't play the kind of defense that Washington plays. How do you beat Brady? You have to make Brady uncomfortable. You have to hit him. Even if it's after he throws the ball, make him throw it quick. Make him have to dump it off. Bruce Arians, the coach of Tampa Bay, has faced the coach of Washington 6 times. Never scored more than 20 points against him. Now, Bruce Arians never had a good enough quarterback probably to score 20 points. I see this as like a 20-16 type game. Washington's going to score some points. It's Alex Smith. If it was Haskins, forget it. Forget it. Hopefully Alex Smith is healthy enough coming back from his calf injury that he could get it done. I think they're playing a little bit of possum with them. Their coach, Ron Rivera, has said, we don't know how ready he's going to be to play. We might have to play. The backup might have to come in for a few plays, to give Alex Smith, a break. Do you really think if he meant that, he would say that? No. He wouldn't tip off the fact to the other team, to Bruce Arians, that, well, you might want to get ready for both of our quarterbacks because the other one might have to play too. No, of course not. That's just it's a ruse. A ruse. Something Democrats like to do. A ruse. Washington in the under. The way to go. At least for me. But that remains to be seen. On to Sunday. Probably the game I wanted to see the most, which I won't be able to watch most of it because our bowling tournaments start back up again, so I got to be there to help run them. The Baltimore Ravens, a 3.5 road favorite against the division champion Tennessee Titans with an over-under of 54.5. Interesting line. High over-under. Josh, by the way, liked Seattle in the under, and he liked Tampa in the under. So far, he's agreeing with you. And he likes Dallas to win. Maybe he's talking about the Mavericks, I don't know, or the Stars. I don't know.
Maybe.
So, Baltimore, Tennessee. Interesting game. Very, very interesting game. What do you got?
Well, this was probably the toughest game for me to pick. I picked the Titans to cover the 3.5. It will not surprise me at one bit if the Ravens cover it, though. I think this game could be 3 different ways. The Titans outplay them really badly. The Ravens outplay the Titans, or an extremely close 1 or 2 point game.
Well, that's usually how it goes.
But no, it's going to be like 10-10 either way, or 1 or 2 points.
Okay.
Is how I kind of came about.
So by taking the dog, you're covering 2 out of the 3 potential ways it could end.
Yes.
Okay.
The Titans have been playing okay. I mean, they barely beat the Texans, and I had no idea how they gave 38 to the Texans. Whatever. We played the Packers in the snow. That doesn't count. Playing the Packers in the snow is basically walking into the death trap because you're not going to win. You're just not going to win. Then they played the Lions. They've been playing okay, but they're scoring. And that is exactly why I took the under.
Okay.
I do not see a lot of points in this game. I just couldn't find where either offense was actually going to put up a lot of points on either defense, basically.
Okay.
I think they're both really good offenses, and they're both pretty good defenses. So I think it'll be pretty medium scoring. 21-20 Titans.
Tennessee, 21-20. Okay. As for me, the key to this game for me is who's going to get the lead in this game. Both teams like to play with the lead. One team does know how to come back if they're losing, though, and that's Tennessee. Baltimore does not play well if they have the lead in a game. It's just how it is. Remember, everybody said Baltimore 16-0, 15-1, potentially best team ever. And then let's look at what happened to them. So again, let's look at the playoff teams that they faced. Cleveland, they won 1-0. Pittsburgh, they lost 1-1. Tennessee, they played them earlier in the year. They lost 1-2. Indy, they won 2-2. Pittsburgh, they lost 2-3. Washington, they won 3-3. Kansas City, they lost 3-4. Cleveland, they won. So they're 4-4. 4-4 against playoff teams. But if you look, when they lose to these playoff teams, with the exception of the second Pittsburgh game, they also don't cover the spread. Now, it's no secret that both teams like to run the ball. Absolutely no secret. If they're forced to pass, that's where Tennessee has the advantage in this game. Like I said, they could come from behind. Baltimore is not good at coming from behind. Tennessee has, in their last 2 years, 4 or 5 playoff victories. All on the road. All on the road. They beat Baltimore last year in the playoffs on the road. They had a lead against Kansas City after the first quarter. Maybe even the first half, and then Kansas City just went off on them at some point. Baltimore, their last 2 playoff games, they lost. The last time they won a playoff game, I believe, was 2014. So I am taking the Titans in this game. It may come down to whoever has the ball last. It could. If Tennessee gets out if they're up by 14 or so at halftime, I think the game's over. If Baltimore's up by 14 at halftime, I think the game's over. So I like, speaking of the game being over, I like the over in the game.
Someone said they're
Over
about to get
54
fired.
and a half. What? Excuse me? What?
Someone said they're about to get fired. Matt Nagy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Chicago coach, I believe. So.
But that's a comment that we have.
Okay. Yeah. Oh. I'm about to. Well, if you're the real Matt Nagy, I'm sorry. I'm glad you're joining us, though.
Is that actually the Chicago coach?
Well, it's actually, you know. So, it's extremely difficult for me to pick a winner of this game, but I'm going to take Tennessee based on the fact that they know how to win in the playoffs and Baltimore doesn't at the moment. So I'm thinking this is going to be like a 32-29 kind of game.
So you like the over.
So I like the over. The next game, the New Orleans Saints minus 10 with an over-under of 47.5.
Right. This game was on par with the easiest game, I think.
Okay.
To pick the spread. Took the Saints because the Bears arguably is the worst team here in the playoffs.
You think they're worse than Washington?
I think if they played Washington, it'd be a very good game, actually.
Okay.
I think Washington would win just based on defense. But
Matt, do you have anything to say about that?
So, let's look at their past couple games. They lost to the Packers. Whatever. They killed the Jaguars, beat the Vikings. They haven't really played anybody that was all that good besides the Packers.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Saints have been playing, I believe, very well. Beat the Panthers, beat the Vikings, and they gave the Chiefs a very good game. They did lose to the Eagles, which was a very bad loss.
Yeah, but that was what's his name's first game, and you didn't know how. You don't have film on the guy.
Right. So, I think they are potential here to be a very good playoff team going into the playoffs here. I have them definitely covering that 10, and I have the under 47.5. I like this game to be about 31-7.
Wow. You think New Orleans defense is going to play a strong game?
Yes. And
Okay.
I just don't think the Bears are very good.
Okay. All right.
I think if the Dolphins played them, the Dolphins would beat the Bears by a touchdown or more.
Okay. All right. Let's look at who the Bears have played since the non-genetically proven son has said they really haven't played anybody. Let's look at their playoff teams that they faced. Okay, they lost to Green Bay. No shame in that. They lost to Green Bay again. No shame in that. They lost to Tennessee. Lost to New Orleans. Lost to the Rams. Beat Tampa Bay. Lost to Indy. They have one win against the playoff team. They did play New Orleans kind of tough. New Orleans only beat them by 3. The game was at Chicago. Not that that really means much this year with no fans. I so badly want to take Chicago in this game. Because 10 is so many points in the playoffs. 10 is a huge number in the playoffs. But as much as I don't want to, I'm going to swallow it and take the Saints. But I'm going to take the over in the game. It's really hard. when a favorite is that big that the favorite covers and the game goes under. You don't see that all that often. So I'm thinking it's more like a 34-17 type game. So I think, their defense, New Orleans' defense is going to play good, not quite as good as you think they're going to play. So as you thought this game was easy, I tried to find a way to take Chicago. I tried to find a way. But in the end, I couldn't. So I don't want to swallow the 10. I so much don't want to swallow the 10. But I'm gonna. I hate that, though. And the last game is another game that I wish we got the line earlier in the week. Your Pittsburgh Steelers, -6 over the Cleveland Browns, making their first playoff appearance in a long time, with an over-under of 47.5. What say you, non-genetically proven son?
If we were picking this game straight up, this would be the easiest game. Period. This would have been the first game I would have chose. But with the line being 6, I still picked the Steelers. And I point right back to last week's game. The Steelers did not try. Roethlisberger, I don't even think went to Cleveland.
He did not. Didn't even make the trip.
And they scored 22. And Cleveland only scored 24.
They could have tied the game on a 2-point conversion.
So, with first thing, this is a revenge game, first and foremost. And we all know how that works out.
It's actually a double revenge game.
Double revenge game. And Roethlisberger has a week of rest. More than Mayfield.
Mm-hmm.
I still think this game is I have the game going over the 47.5. But I think the Steelers wipe the Browns clean. And also the Browns, nobody has playoff experience. 0 playoff experience, basically, in that team together. Mm-hmm. I think a couple of them have playoff experience elsewhere. But nobody has played together there in the playoffs. And the Steelers, there's still some Super Bowl winners on that team. So I think this is a pretty easy pick.
So what's your final that you have it going over the total?
I haven't really thought about this one. Give me a minute.
Okay, you take your time. I think of all the games, this one was the easiest to pick. For all the reasons that were just discussed. Pittsburgh played a very, very, very vanilla game last week, knowing that they may have to turn around and play Cleveland again this week. Like he said, Big Ben didn't even travel with the team. Let's face it, Mason Rudolph isn't a Roethlisberger, and they still could have won the game. So you have Baker Mayfield going up against a really good defense. And do not forget, and you probably don't know this, their head coach for Cleveland will not be at this game.
I heard that.
He's also their play caller. So it's not like it's the offensive coordinator who's normally calling the plays. It's the coach who calls the plays on Cleveland. So now you're going to have a foreign play caller. Didn't we just see that last Saturday in the Clemson-Ohio State game? Where did we see that before? The Ohio State offensive coordinator wasn't there. Clemson's offensive coordinator wasn't there. He had COVID or was under COVID quarantine. The offensive coordinator for Clemson is the person that calls the plays. Look how badly their offense looked. Same thing's going to happen here. Now, I just got done saying in the last game, when you have a larger line, if you like the favorite, you take the over because it's really hard for the under to come in. I'm taking the under in this game for that reason. I don't think Cleveland's going to score that many points. I think if they score 13, they're going to be lucky. Now, with saying that, 10 minutes into the game, they'll be up 14-0.
I got my score.
Okay.
34-14 Steelers.
That's 34-14. So you think basically the game is barely going to go over.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm thinking it's more like a 26-13 style game.
Now you saying that, it brought my score down a little bit. I was going to put around 21 or 24 for Cleveland, but then I'm going to take away a little bit.
Okay.
I think it won't surprise me when their first drive they go down and score. First drive. But then they kind of do nothing till like the third or fourth quarter.
Josh says Steelers in the over 33-27. I can't see Cleveland scoring 27 without their coach / play caller calling the plays.
Because I think with it being the first time Cleveland's in the playoffs since 2002, they're going to get up for the game clearly a lot. Any team would. It's the pros. But I think they're going to go right down the field the first drive and score. And then the Steelers are going to do right back.
Okay.
And it's going to take a lot of the energy out of Cleveland.
Okay.
Because they're going to do it faster.
Okay. By the way, do you have your football jersey on or do you have your hockey jersey on?
Football jersey.
Football jersey. Got it.
My hockey jersey, is it here? Yeah, it's here.
Okay. I mean, it would be weird that you have your hockey jersey on and not a football jersey.
That's why I put my football jersey on. We're talking about football.
All right, so let's recap. The non-genetically proven son likes Buffalo in the under, Seattle in the over, Tampa in the under, Tennessee in the under, New Orleans in the under, Pitt in the over. So you like 1 favorite, 2 favorite, 3 favorite. You like 5 favorites and 1 underdog, and you like 4 unders and 2 overs. I have Buffalo in the over, the Rams in the under, Washington in the under, Tennessee in the over, New Orleans in the over, Pittsburgh in the under. So I like 3 favorites, 3 underdogs, 3 overs, and 3 unders.
Wow, aren't you just bland?
I'm very bland. So that's how we're going to go for week 1 of the NFL playoffs. So now we're doing a gentleman's bet. Why we're doing a gentleman's bet? I don't know, because neither of us are gentlemen. So, what we did was, we have all 14 playoff teams. And we're going to go one by one, and we're going to pick a team. Obviously, both of us can't have the same team. So, I'm leaving it up to the non-genetically proven son to tell me who's picking first. Now, we kind of had a little discussion about this a couple days ago. And he really wants to go second. But he's afraid that if I go first, I'm going to pick the team that he really wants to take. So, it's going to be interesting.
There's four or 5 teams I think I could win the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right. And we'll talk about that then after. Because I don't want you... Obviously, if you tell me the 4 or 5 teams, I know those are your 4 or 5 top teams. All right. So, again... So he's got to think who I think is going to win the Super Bowl at this point, and if he thinks it's the team that he likes, then he wants to go first. If he's confident it's not, then he wants me to go first, so he gets 2 of the better teams. So, do you know who you want to start?
You're going first.
You want me to go first?
You're going first.
Are you absolutely sure?
Yeah, you're going first.
All right. Who am I picking?
I don't know.
Any idea? It's not Kansas City. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I know it's not going to be Kansas City.
Okay. All right.
My pick? One of the Packers, the Saints, or Buffalo.
Okay. My first round pick is the Green Bay Packers. Was that the team you were afraid of?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Clearly, they're in my top two. I think if the Chiefs and the Packers played each other right now, the Packers would win.
Okay.
Right now.
So
That may not be the same in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. It could be different.
Okay.
So I'm going to
hold on. So does this mean I should automatically pencil in Washington as my last pick? Or should I pencil in Chicago as my last pick? Because it's going to be one of those two.
Really? You think?
So you get 2 picks now.
I'm going to take Buffalo.
Buffalo.
And now this is where, because I think there's 3 teams that I like here, and I think the two that I don't pick, you're going to take.
Okay.
But who is going to? Who do I like the best? I'm going to take the Saints.
Going to take the Saints. Okay. Interesting. So Kansas City is still on the board after 3 picks. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Well, I can't pass that up. You're going to give me both number 1 seeds? I mean, you're giving me... There's 2 teams on a bye this year, and you're giving me both of them. You're nuts. So, I'm taking Kansas City. So, now it starts to get difficult. You have to start thinking, who do you think is going to win these games, and look at potential matchups. So for my 3rd round pick, I'm going to go no further to a team that doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, but has a quarterback who's got a lot of playoff experience. I'm taking your Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That was the team I really didn't want you to take. Because that was my next pick.
Yes. It was a toss-up between 2 teams.
That was my next pick because if they beat the Packers, they're making the Super Bowl. Or they're playing a team, the Saints, in the NFC title game.
Okay.
And that's going to come down to, the Saints.
So we'll see when we get to our bracket whether I have Tampa Bay going to Green Bay. I might have Washington beating Tampa Bay.
Okay.
Or I may not even have Tampa Bay. If I have Tampa Bay winning, I may not have them going to Green Bay if I have another underdog winning. So, your 3rd round pick.
Now I got to look here because now you messed up my picks.
Do you wish you went first now?
No.
Okay.
I wanted Buffalo. I really wanted Buffalo. Just because I think that's who's coming out of the AFC.
And you were confident I wasn't going to take them?
Yeah, I knew you were going to pick the Packers.
Really?
They're the best team in football.
Really?
You were going to take the Packers, and for some reason you would have took the Chiefs. Yeah, they run in close games, but they're winning.
I mean, you knew how much I liked Buffalo because we talk about this a lot.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just feel like I just had the feeling you were going to take the Packers first.
I mean, I'm kind of glad that you made me pick first because I thought if you picked first, you would have taken Green Bay. And that would have left me to take probably 2 AFC teams. I would have taken Kansas City and Buffalo. Because I wasn't going to give you both number 1 seeds.
So
that you gave me.
I'm down to the dilemma of the game that I thought was one of the hardest to pick.
Yes.
And it's the Seahawks and the Rams.
Okay.
I want to pick one of them. I'm going to take the Seahawks.
Okay.
Just because if they win, I would hope the Saints win, and then they play each other. So at least one of them would make the NFC title game.
Okay.
And then I'm going to take... the Rams.
The Rams. Interesting. Very interesting. In my rankings from 1 to 14, so far through like our first 5 picks, I had the 5. But I have Rams at number 11. Interesting.
I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams below the Rams.
Okay.
I have one team above the Rams that I did not take.
Okay.
That's the only team that's not taken that's above the Rams.
Okay. So, my next 2 picks might not make a lot of sense. But I think we've already probably covered the teams that are going to win the Super Bowl.
Probably.
So I'm going to take 2 teams that are playing each other this weekend. I'm going to take Tennessee and Baltimore.
Okay. So now I'm going to do basically the same exact thing. Well, now that guarantees you just about, as long as there's no major upsets, that you'll have a team in the AFC title game.
Yes.
And I'm going to take the Steelers and the Browns.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Shocking.
Because I want to cover the other side of the bracket. Assuming the Bills win, and then assuming the Steelers win, those two face each other. And then it would be your side versus my side on that one. Should I just pencil you in for the Colts?
Hold on. 5. Five, 6. Oh yeah, that's right. You pick last then.
Yes, I get the last pick.
So, who do I want you to have? Do I want you? Yes, you're going to pencil me in for the Colts.
To say, like, you want me to have Washington or the Bears?
So, who do I want you to have? Do I want you to have the Bears or do I want you to have Washington? Only because I'm a nice guy, I'll take the nameless team.
That's the team that I really wanted. If they somehow beat the Bucks, I think they'll play Seattle. And for some reason, they can play Seattle tough. I'll take the nameless team. So, yeah, there's a throw out, the Bears.
Yeah, that's right, because there's an odd number of picks, so you finish last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Meaning an odd number of rounds. I'm sitting here thinking, wait, this isn't how bowling works. In bowling, if you start first, you finish last, but they have 10 frames. Even number. This is an odd number. Which way did he go, George? All right, so let's recap. In the order, the non-genetically proven son took Buffalo, then New Orleans, then Seattle, then the Rams, then Pittsburgh, then Cleveland, and I left him with Chicago. Me, in my order, I took Green Bay, I took Kansas City, I took Tampa Bay, I took Tennessee, I took Baltimore, I took Indy, and I took Washington. So there we go. The non-gentleman making a gentleman's bet.
Of my top 5, I have 3 of them, so...
Of my top 5, I have 3 of them. So who was your top 5? Like, you have Seattle in your top 5.
I do have Seattle.
And who don't you have in your, like, who's your top 5?
Buffalo, Packers, Chiefs, Seattle, Saints.
So you don't have Tampa Bay in your top 5.
There's 6.
I have Green Bay, Buffalo, Kansas City, New Orleans, Tampa Bay. I have Seattle at 7. I have Tennessee at 6.
I have Tennessee at 9.
After Seattle, I have Pitt, Baltimore, Indy, Rams, Chicago. I have Cleveland all the way down at 13.
I have Cleveland at 12.
And Washington rounds up the rear.
I have Bears in the rear.
Really? You didn't even put Washington in the rear. Interesting.
No, I have Washington 13.
Interesting. All right.
I have Bears in the rear.
So now on to our bracket. Who do you want to start with, the NFC or the AFC?
Let's start with the NFC.
The NFC. All right. So who do you have? Now these are straight up, so these aren't against the spread. So we might have different teams than we picked earlier now. So who do you have this weekend in the NFC winning?
So I have the Saints beating the Bears.
Okay, so you have the 2 beating the 7.
I have the Seahawks beating the Rams.
You have the 3 beating the 6.
And I have the Bucks beating Washington.
And you have the 5 beating the 4.
Yes.
So then you have Tampa Bay facing Green Bay.
Green Bay, yep.
And New Orleans facing Seattle.
Yep.
And who do you have winning those 2 games?
I have Green Bay winning their game, and I have Seattle winning their game.
All right. Then you have Green Bay, Seattle in the NFC Championship game.
And I have Green Bay.
You have Green Bay making it to the Super Bowl. Okay.
I thought that was probably the easier one.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bogey team is the Bucks. I think if they beat Green Bay, they get through.
Got you.
Because they'll be playing on a real high, but I'm not sure they could beat Green Bay in Green Bay.
Got you. Okay. So I have New Orleans beating Chicago. You have to have an upset somewhere. So I took the Rams to beat Seattle. And I have Tampa Bay winning a close game, as I said earlier, against Washington.
A close one.
So that means I have Green Bay facing the Rams. And I took the Rams.
You took the Rams?
No, I took Green Bay.
Took the Rams.
I took Green Bay. And then I have New Orleans against Tampa. And it's so hard to beat a team 3 straight times. It is so hard to beat a team 3 straight times. You see it so often. So often. Like Cleveland coming in and beating Pittsburgh. So hard for a team to win 3 straight times. But the Saints are going to do it! So, and then I have Green Bay beating the Saints. I'm very chalky, and I hate the fact that I'm chalky. I hate it.
You have 1 versus 2.
I hate the fact that I'm chalky. I can't stand it. So we both had Green Bay making it to the Super Bowl.
No, we did.
Very chalky. I can't stand it.
Oh, my AFC's chalky, so
So go ahead.
I have the Bills beating the Colts, the Steelers beating the Browns, and the Ravens beating the Titans.
Okay. Wait a minute. When we were doing the thing, you said Tennessee 21-20.
I know, but I have the Ravens beating the Titans.
So you're covering your ass on who's winning.
This was me at noon. This was me at 5.
Okay. All right.
I just can't pick who's going to win that game because I just do not know.
Okay.
I think it goes either way.
Okay. So,
and then,
Kansas City against Baltimore.
Yes. I have Kansas City winning.
Okay.
And then I have the Bills beating the Steelers.
Okay. So then you have very chalky Kansas City versus the Bills.
And I have the Bills beating Kansas City in a close one.
The Bills beating Kansas City in a close one. Okay. So you got the Bills and Green Bay as your Super Bowl teams.
Yes.
Okay. So I tried not to be so chalky in the AFC. I tried my best. Tried my best. I have Buffalo beating Indy. I have Pittsburgh beating Cleveland. I have Tennessee beating Baltimore.
Wow, you're not chalky. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I have Tennessee beating Kansas City.
Ah.
I have Buffalo beating Pitt. I have Buffalo beating Tennessee.
Wow, can we?
So we have the same Super Bowl, which means neither team is going to come close. Who do you have winning the Super Bowl? Do you have the upstart Buffalo Bills or do you have your Green Bay Packers? The Bills! He takes the Bills! Make sure you save all this because I didn't write down your plays. So you have to remember who you took.
You want to see? Yeah, look at all these, like, I crossed it out twice. I just didn't know.
Okay. All right. Well, in the chart of how I rank the 14 teams, I have Green Bay 1 and I have Buffalo 2. So I'm taking Green Bay.
Wow. Buffalo 1, Green Bay 2.
So we have them flipped. All right. So you have Buffalo beating Green Bay. I have Green Bay beating Buffalo in the Super Bowl. On to college to wrap up the night.
Where's my card? There it is. There's the lines.
What's the last I looked? It was what 8 and 75.5.
Oh, when I looked, it was 9.
Well,
I looked before the show.
Okay. Well, I looked at noon.
Okay, so we'll go with that.
So
you said 8?
8 and 75.5.
Okay. I think
so. Before you start, so that means a lot of money came in on Alabama sometime today to move the line up to 9.
I think it's hard to tell how this game's going to be. Okay. Which Ohio State is going to come out? The one that just played against Clemson that can beat Alabama. If it's that team, I'm taking Ohio State, period. If it's the team that played all season in their 6 games, I'm taking Alabama. It's so hard to figure out how this game is going to go. I don't know what's wrong with Justin Fields. Nobody ever wanted to tell us. And Ryan Day blatantly lied to the media saying the doctors don't tell him what's wrong. Bullshit. Bull.
Absolutely. Of course, the coach...
first person to know what was wrong with him.
Well, the doctors are the first to know.
But the doctors would have told him first thing. They would have emailed him if he wasn't there. But assuming they probably walked into his office and told him what is wrong with him.
You gotta believe that that game was in Florida? No. It was in New Orleans. Well, wherever the game was. You gotta believe they have a portable X-ray machine in that building.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew, even though they said, he wasn't X-rayed at halftime. He had X-rays at halftime. And I'm sure he had, the way he was moving around, he had to have cracked ribs. At least one. Which means he should have sat out the second half. But Ohio State only fucking cares about winning. They don't care about players' health. If that's James Franklin, he's sitting the second half.
That he is.
Without a doubt.
I think if he does actually have a cracked rib, if I could tell you this before the game, I think it'd be a lot easier. I'd really want to watch him warm up a little bit just to see if he's in any pain. If I'm going to assume he's going to be at least in a little.
He's listed at the moment as probable with an undisclosed injury.
So I'm going to assume his psyche's not going to let him be as aggressive as he can be. Not saying he can't throw it. Like, we certainly saw him throw it, but I don't think he's going to run it as much. I don't think he's going to want to get hit. So I'm going to take Alabama, but then I'm going to take the over. I
Alabama
see
and the
Alabama putting up somewhere in the high 40s. I think Mac Jones and Devontae Smith could have a field day. It's possible. But I also think Fields could have a field day. Because I don't think Alabama's pass defense is that good. It's better than Ohio State's. Definitely better. But their defense also isn't as good as Clemson's. And Clemson played a howitzer. So, the over in Alabama.
Okay. Well, looking at the stats, on defense, Alabama gives up 6.7 yards per passing attempt. So that's average to slightly above average. Ohio State gives up 7.3. Defensive rushing, they both give up 3.2 yards. Offense, rushing, Ohio State is the better rushing team, 6.0 to 5.1. Passing, Alabama is the better team, 11.0 to 9.9.
Oh, something else that I completely forgot about.
Go ahead.
I think the key to Alabama covering is stopping Ohio State's running back. They're that guy who's been playing insane.
Yes.
He's been playing. I don't know how he could bounce it every single time.
Yes.
Like he's like, I think he might be better than Najee Harris, definitely. So I think Saban is going. He probably spent a lot of time figuring out how to stop him, because that's probably their most important threat.
Okay. Now, first off, there's a chance that this game doesn't happen Monday.
Because Ohio State has things. If it was Alabama, they'd be playing. It doesn't matter.
I mean, Saban confirmed that there has been discussions about postponing the game. So, be that as it may, the side for me is so hard to predict in this game. I mean, the stuff that you said is very true. If Ohio State plays Alabama like they played Clemson, they're going to be hard to beat. Clemson's defense is better than Alabama's defense. Clemson also played in a weaker division than Alabama did, a weaker conference than Alabama did too. So you got to take that into consideration. I like the over far more than I like taking any side in this game. I mean, this could realistically be first team to 45 wins this game.
It's about what I said, Alabama, high 40s.
Yeah.
And then whatever Ohio State does.
Yes. So with that, it'll be 10-6.
If there is a college game 10-6 in today's day and age, it's not Army Navy. Damn.
Army Air Force.
Army Air Force. And the one time I take Army, they score 21 points.
Yes.
One time I finally play Army.
When it comes time to bet this game, like actually bet this game, I cannot put money on Ohio State. Because that means I got to root for Ohio State.
I think this game could be a very good live betting game. Like at halftime.
I tell you what, if one team gets up by 14, I will live bet the other team.
I think this could be a very good, depending on the first half, the score, the over-under in the second half. If they come out and put up 60 points almost in the first half, take the under.
Sure.
Second half, take the under.
Sure.
Or opposite. If they come out and it's only 28 points, take the over. Mm-hmm. I think that'll be a good play in this game.
Yeah.
And if Alabama is down by more than 10, play Alabama.
Yes. That that whole theory burned my ass in the Super Bowl with New England and the Rams. When I had a shit ton of money on the under in the first half and a shit ton of money on the over in the second half.
You did good in the first half.
I did very good in the first half.
Did not do good in the second half.
Didn't do good in the second half. So yeah, if you're, I mean, I want to say the play for me is to potentially play a teaser taking Alabama down to 2, but you don't play teasers in college football. Listen to that again, people who like to play shekels on games. You don't play teasers in college football. It's too inconsistent. Pros, you could beat. That's if you're ever going to beat Vegas, it's betting 2-team 6-point teasers in pro football. Unless if you're a newbie like the non-genetically proven son who went positive. So I like the over at 8. I probably got to take Ohio State. If it was only because it's cross 7. And if I'm saying the first team to 45 wins, that must mean I think it's going to be a close game.
It's hard for me to say that Ohio State's going to put up 40, somewhere around 45.
Yeah. So what I might do, since I said I don't want to bet Ohio State, so I got to sit here and root for Ohio State. I might I'm going to use funny money here now. I don't ever reveal how much I bet on a game. So let's just say I'm putting $10,000 on the over. I might put $500 or $1,000 on Ohio State. So if Alabama destroys them, then okay. And it still goes over. All right, fine. I still made $9,000 on the game.
So, score predictions then.
Well, I said first team to 45 wins, so I'm going to say 45-41.
I'm going to say 48-31.
So let's write this down. So Phatts.
Yeah, 48-31.
Alabama 45-41. Non-genetically proven son. You like Alabama too?
Yes, 48-31.
48-31. So you have 79 points being scored in the game. I have 86 points. I have one more touchdown than you do.
The only other thing I could maybe see Ohio is to get another field goal. So, 48-34.
What do you guys think? Quickly before we go, because I've kept you now an hour and a half. Long show. If for you guys that have been with me, us all 3 nights, God bless you. You got to be sick and tired of looking at our faces. Lord knows I am.
And we spent almost 6 hours on the air.
It's almost like going back to election night.
Last night was supposed to be a short half-an-hour show.
I never said that.
I thought it was supposed to be like 45 minutes, hour and a half.
We got a lot of good compliments on last night's show. You got some good compliments from people that you don't even really know. And some people you know. I got a lot of compliments from people I know. And the word's starting to get out. For those of you that might be watching, if this is your first time, hit that subscribe button. So become a subscriber. It's free. It's not like you get charged. You just have to have a Gmail account, right?
I have a Gmail, and most people have a Gmail. At least people my age have a Gmail.
Yeah, especially
hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You get a notification every single time we go live, and most of the time, I will share my dad's post on basically what we're talking about. Because usually you give a recap or, sorry, not a recap, a preview of what we're going to talk about. Because some people like the sports over the politics, some people like the politics over the sports, which makes sense. I think we're going to have 2 somewhat different audiences for that.
Yeah. Right now, believe it or not, we're actually getting more people to watch during the politics, not the sports.
Which is weird. You figure it'd be the other way around.
That just shows that the age group that's watching us is more older.
I posted on my Snapchat story, sent it to all my streaks, and some people said they'll watch. Whether they actually watch is a different story.
But also, On Facebook, we have a Phatts TV Facebook group and a Phatts TV Facebook page. Feel free to, join them. Basically, we're just using them now to tell you when we're live. So if you don't subscribe to the channel and have your notifications turned on so you get notified when we go live, this way, if you're watching that on Facebook, then you'll know we're live there. Typically, we do shows Tuesday and Thursday at 7 o'clock. Unless if events of the day warrant us to do other shows like we did last night.
Kiana says hi.
Hi. Hi. General Sal's, please.
Chicken and broccoli.
Mugu Gai Pan.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments before we head out for the night? I still haven't eaten dinner yet. Now it's getting a little late to eat dinner, so. Anybody? Bueller? Bueller?
Go State.
All right, everybody. Have a safe, happy, and healthy weekend. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Well, or do some things I would do, because I like to have fun. We will see you right back here Tuesday night for Phatts TV. And remember, as always, where we go one,
we go all.
You gotta say that a little more. Not like fake. No, not like fake. It's like, where we go one, and you say we go all.
We go all.
There you go. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.